Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Sprinklebeard, and today we are doing Scrutinize the Stats. And we're talking today about healing effect. Now, 100% clarity on this video. This was actually really difficult for me to test out because I kind of forgot that all of my gear, I'm like optimizing it. So I don't have like gear that doesn't make sense. I don't have gear that has like, you know, crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, and healing effect on it to really isolate those healing effects. And the gear that I have up on screen here was something I had to upgrade for this video. And I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense. But it's been really awkward to try to test this out. So the numbers are going to be really foggy at best. However, they do paint the picture that we have been talking about for a while. So, without delay, let's get into the video. So, today we are talking about healing effect, and I used Lily, or Lily, however you want to pronounce her name. I would assume it's Lily, being a little flower girl. We are talking about healing effect and how does it work with healing, right? So, the first question would then have to be, how does healing even work in the first place? So, in Lily's case, she's an attack-based healer, meaning she restores HP based on the target's max HP and the caster's attack. So that is the core value of it, right? When we actually get to the stats of it, and then we talk about healing effect has been more or less known as a multiplier to that number. So, you know, if the number is 1,000, and we have a healing effect of 60, we would expect that to heal 1,600, you know, 60% extra in this case. And the numbers more or less do kind of point that way. We will get to the numbers, and I'll show you how I tested it and how I'm coming to the conclusions I am. Again, I want to stress how incredibly sloppy the numbers are. One of the reasons that I used Lily is that I can influence her attack the most without it being like gigantic jumps up in numbers. So I used Lily specifically. I think if I was going to like future test this, number one, I would just spend like an entire day or two collecting gear that really isolates the healing effect, and then like healing effect with attack percentage, and trying to see what those numbers look like. But I did a decent job, I suppose. I just didn't do the job that I was hoping for, right? So anyways, that is our core concept of how we understand healing effect works in this game. We being like the community, or as I've talked to other players, everybody has kind of agreed. Like the way that a lot of players have explained it to me, they're like, it's your stat multiplied by the healing multiplier, which is partially true. But the thing is, your target's max HP matters just as much as your attack stat does. And I'm going to be showing that off in this video. So I'm excited about that. Now, for testing purposes, here's the super simple way that I consistently tested this. I randomly chose a stage where I knew that my tank, Azor, could be taking frequent damage. So, because I've already used up all my dragon attempts for the day, it was artifact material raid, because I know something is going to spawn near instantly and then come up and slap Azor, guaranteed. Then I used Lily here on the side. So, as the boss comes down, he's going to summon things, and then he is going to slap my Azor. Unfortunately, Azor kept putting a shield on himself, so it delayed a lot of the timing of my research, which was really funny to me. So anyways, here his shield goes down. He takes 140 damage. Here he's getting healed for 11,907. The reason for that is that we have Lily's base attack, which is like 571. Then we have Azor in full HP gear, which was like 228% HP plus an extra like 2,000 or 3,000 on top of it because of the way the gear worked. But all of that combines, and then Lily, specifically in this case that I'm demonstrating, has a healing effect of 60 because of the amulet that she's wearing. So all collectively, this turns out to be 11,907. And as you can see, healing is super consistent. It actually doesn't even move, which is something I find extremely, extremely valuable to know, right? That there's no like variation to healing. Just when your healer is doing a number, that number becomes very consistent. Now, I will admit the number is going to get crazy when you talk about Lily healing up like 4 to 5 people. That is 4 to 5 different people that you're going to be trying to keep track of.
Fear thy God and die well.
So in this video, I took my Bro Cure gear and put it on Azor. So here we're just going to go through like the stats really quickly on it. The big things that you really just have to pay attention to, the HP bonus, and then this is the life force set, so he's getting an extra 25% on top of everything. But a lot of this gear was just HP bonus and then no other HP. There was 1 or 2 pieces of gear. So here we have 1750, so it's 3,000 in total, and then here we have 1185, and I do have this documented for clarity reasons. But yes, so those are the numbers that we're looking at here. So Azor and all of this gear totals out to have 63,000 some HP. So with Lily healing him, and again, I want to stress that Lily is level 2. She's rank 4, so she's not meant to be putting out like big heals. And a healing multiplier of 60. With her 571 attack, she's healing for like 11,000, right? So about 1/6, right? So for about 15% there. Now, I was able to do a whole lot of testing to say, okay, what if she's not wearing any equipment? What if he's in this full armor? So let's go ahead and get into those numbers. All right, so this is going to be very confusing. We're going to start off here at the bottom in this highlighted section first. So I have Azor. His base HP was 15,956. Lily, with her base attack of 621, when she would heal him, it would be for 3,308. So we are talking about roughly, again, about 1/6, a little bit less than 1/6 in this case, healing kind of base, right? So when our healer heals, they heal for around like 15%. It was kind of crazy. So here I gave Lily a weapon that only gave her 200 attack. So it was a red weapon that was unupgraded, so no other stats would be involved. So that takes her total attack up to 821. And instead her heal went up to 3742. So she started healing more reliably than this 3308. So she got a roughly about like a 400, slightly more than 400 increase off of 200 attack, which was kind of weird. So then I was like, all right, let's take off the weapon and let's just see how Azor's HP affects this, right? So her base heal was 3308. When I gave Azor 20% HP, it increased his healing about 440 by having an additional 20% HP. Then I gave him 60% HP. So I found a bangle that was just HP plus and nothing else. Like there's no other flat HPs on it or anything. And that took it up from 3308 to 4619. So just to do the quick math on that. So we'll do the equals 4619 divided by 3308. So that's an increase of 39%, right? That's like, that's a 39% increase, for having an extra 60% HP. Then down here, this is where everything's going to get like super confusing. So the 248 is the percentage increase of health. So this is my maximum HP gear collection. So the 248 is the percentage, plus the 2935 is the flat HP that he gets on top of it. So that is the full broke here set, as I'm going to be calling it in this video. So the base heal went up to 9622. So if we do the same thing, equals 9622 divided by 3308. So with all this massive amount of HP, the healing increased over 190%, right? So down here, we're talking about 39%. Here, because it's 2.90, so 2.91 if we round up, we are talking about 191% increase for him having 248% max HP. So to me, this was kind of the most fascinating out of anything. I would kind of argue that if you want your healer healing more, that this is the best way to do it, right? Is just literally increase the HP of your target and you get some pretty big numbers. So to stress again, Azor's maximum HP in this test was about 63,000, right? So 63,000, and then you have that 9,622. That's about 1/7. So typically, she's healing around 1/7 of his HP pretty consistently. What's really weird about this is, again, her base attack is 621. So I don't know where this, how consistently it's around 1/7 of his maximum HP. Means that it's not taking exact numbers. It definitely has some type of calculation that maybe you start off at 1/8, and then the more attack you have, that number can shrink, right? Instead of it being 1/8, maybe it's 1/7.5, it would shrink the number, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, here's where things are going to get super crazy. So I gave her a 960 weapon, and we were testing specifically Azor with, So we gave her a 960 weapon, which gives her a total attack of 1581. So then I started healing Azor. So the basic heal was 4096. So this is Azor with no gear on, and Lily with an attacking weapon on. So that 960, 621 plus 960 should give us this 1581. Increase the healing from 3308 to 4096. Then I increased the healing effect up to 10, the best that I could, without any other modifiers. And I've tried to label here on the left if there was extra numbers in here, and there is one that is unlabeled, and I'll mention that here in a moment. But with a healing effect of 10, as we can see, the number went up from 4096 to 4338. So not a significant increase. That is less than 10%, but an increase nonetheless. And then we did a 30% healing effect of 30, right? And again, we go up around 700, which gets us about 1/6 of the number there. So still kind of meaningful. Then I tried just with that one amulet on of 60 with Azor with no gear on. And again, our number continues to climb. We're going from this original 4096, almost 1,000 increase with a healing effect of 60. Right? So now we're getting closer to a 25% or a 1/4 increase. Then I put her in as much healing effect as I could, which was 228 with a 960 weapon. Now here, there was a very, very small increase to her attack. I think it was 3.5. I think there was a 3.5% attack bonus as well. But that gave us a total of 6730, which was strange to me that I expected this number to be a lot higher, right? So then I was testing out the 960 weapon with attack percentage on it. So we have that 1581 was the so it was our base damage, and here we're talking about 1775. So the healing went from 4096 to 4255. This is where I say the numbers just get super incredibly sloppy and don't make any sense, because the problem that I have here is that I don't have a way for me to test out gear. Like, let's say a gear with like a 960 weapon with attack percentage of 20% and healing effect of 10. In order for me to do that, I would have to go farming for gear, specifically find gear with only attack percentage and healing effect on it, roll them, and then pray to the almighty RNGesus that I would get these ridiculously perfect stats, which made the testing for this kind of, oh, this is a lot more complex than I kind of anticipated. Like, this is going to be a very difficult stat for me to properly adjust for. So with that being said, that's kind of where the testing comes to a big close, is I don't have a way to test out similar numbers with similar attacks, and then a similar healing effect. My numbers would be kind of all over the place, and I don't think that makes for good testing purposes, right? So the final test that I did do, though, because I was curious, well, what if I gave Lily my best of best healing gear for attack-based healers, and then I took Azor and gave him, I'm sorry, not my best of best attack-based healing gear, just my 228 healing gear. So it's just all healing effect. And then I gave Azor all of the Brokir HP gear. So Brokir is in this 248% HP increase, plus roughly 3,000 HP more. And that takes you from this 9622 to 15,888. So in this case, then, we are talking about 15,888 divided by 9622. We are talking about roughly a 65% increase, which was super shocking to me, right? It literally feels like the more HP your target has, literally the better your healing is. So we are going to do one final test, however, and this is something I have not tested out. So this is the learning moment we get together. Right now, I have Hollow in my best of best healing gear for an attack-based healer. So with this beautiful new swap function that they've offered us, I just need to find my Hollow, and we're going to take all of her gear and we're going to slap it on top of our Lily. And we'll look at the numbers here. So we have 3,273 total attack. And then our healing effect is 88. Right? So 3,273. So I'll just throw these numbers down here. So Lily 3,273. 3,273 attack. 88 multiplier. And we're going to do this with Azor in full gear. Now, for anybody wondering why am I doing Artifact Material Raid Stage 5, it is just kind of a random stage that I picked that shouldn't affect anything else on my account or affect certain champion placements. And then the reason that I'm continuously doing the same stage over and over again is that way I don't have some weird variable of, she was healing more on 7 or healing less on 5. It would make things very confusing. 15,322. So this 15,322 is less than full heal effect nonsense, right? Now, I call this full heal effect nonsense is because I did not care whatsoever what the other stats on the gear was. It literally was just give me as much max healing effect as I can to one champion. So the gear is all over the place with what it provides. But what is interesting here is that with 228 healing effect versus this 88 healing effect, we are getting very comparable numbers. Now, by very comparable, 500 healing on a tank, you know, who has 63,000 HP, 500 health is a drop in the bucket, right? It is a non-factor, in my opinion. What's most interesting to me, though, is that we're giving Lily this 3273 attack, so she is getting quite the bump up in attack in order to perform this. And again, between the attack and the healing effect, the mixed value of both of these seems to be just as pungent as stacking healing effect. With this being said, what does make the most sense in terms of healers? I could argue both ways on this, right? So what is most effective on a healer? You see the mouse? You could stack healing effect on a champion and then just defensive stats, right? HP percentage, defense percentage. And ironically enough, you will get very decent healing numbers. Or you can be stacking like attack and attack percentage on a attack-based healer with healing effect, and you'll actually get roughly the same numbers as well. So what is the best answer? I think it's kind of a matter of opinion. Obviously, I would argue that your defensive values on your champion would be best. So if you're able to roll gear and get that high healing effect number, and then also have like high HP, high defense, and then healers typically have a very low flat defense. So like defense bonus, although it is helpful and is usually more helpful than a flat defense bonus, admittedly, the flat defense bonus is going to go a long way here.
Fear thy god and die well.
So in terms of gear, what am I talking about? So ideally, I would say that if you are able to find gear that has healing effect, and then like things like HP and defense, flat defense, defense bonus, right? This could be very good for you to find gear like this, because ultimately this gives you the most amount of survivability, and we've kind of just proved that if we can stack healing effect high enough, it is just as effective as using healing effect with the other stats in combination. Ideally, though, I would almost argue that instead of flat defense, we would want attack speed specifically. And the reason is that if we're healing fast, if we're healing and healing fast, we are being the most effective version of our healer selves, right? And then HP bonus and then either defense percentage or flat defense are going to be the most valuable. So HP percentage is a lot better than defense percentage. This is super easy math. We have 9,600 HP. So if we took 20% of that, it's going to be a lot higher than 20% of 600. And there I'm rounding up. So with that being said, that is one course of action for our healers. The other course of action for our healers is to still focus on attack percentage, attack, healing effect, and attack speed. Now, this actually does not help our longevity, but as we saw, we're actually getting very, very similar numbers with this type of gear, and we're actually already inclined to look for gear that is attack bonus and attack speed. So this gear is going to be, quote unquote, easier to come by, in my opinion. I will say, though, after this study, one of the hardest things that's going to be for people to come about is going to be is healing effect as a main stat. And then you're going to want things like attack speed, defense, HP bonus. And then if you wanted the most out of your healing, you would want your main stat on there as well. So maybe attack percentage. If you're an HP-based healer, flat HP. If you're a defense healer, flat defense. Or if you just wanted extra defense on your champion. This would be technically the best, to be perfectly honest. Admittedly, this has made me slightly confused, because the way that I had been expressed, like this is how healing works, And when I started off like streaming, right? Like that was a big question that came up. Hey guys, can somebody explain to me how this healing like effect works? Like, do we know exactly what the number is and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, the answer was everybody was like, no, we don't have the exact numbers, but we have a good idea of how it works. I would say, based upon my numbers, which are incredibly flawed, there is no problem with you hard stacking healing effect and then just going for your defensive values. I would say, very importantly, I would go healing effect and attack speed. I would say the higher up you get, that becomes much, much more important. I will also say, I don't notice my healers like taking tons of damage constantly or frequently being one shot. Like the only place that they've really been one shot is Golem in Gear Raid 2. So there is a potential that if I was to re-gear a healer up in this hyper defensive manner, so a very good candidate for me to do this is I need to work on Sadie, because as you can see right now, I have her in an attack-based set for some reason. But she's an HP-based healer, so I don't know what I was thinking doing this, but I was probably just trying to slap some gear on her. But this could be something that I would look into, right? Is, okay, maybe I throw on a whole bunch of HP percentage, defense percentage, and healing effect gear and see how bulky that we can make her, and see what her specific healing is like. One huge thing I did not test in this video, and I do not intend to test on this video, because this would make my testing go like 8 times longer. Well, what about like things like Dolores and Autumn, right? Where they come out, babe? Come on. Hi. These are champions that, yes, they do provide some healing. However, their healing values are so incredibly low, and that's because they are meant to be support champions. They are meant to boost up the attack or the crit rate and crit damage of your champions respectfully. And they are really not meant to be healers. So their numbers are going to have very micro changes to it. And I hate to be that guy, but that's not worth my time, right? Like if I give them 228 healing effect and they gain 200 healing from that, that's not going to feel good to test that out on 4 different runs and resetting the run, like, you know, 8 times, re-equipping gear, moving gear around, blah, 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 blah. So with that being said, this is kind of where I leave you off at. I would argue that I think it's probably a lot easier for players that if you have an attack-based healer, so I think Ezreal is attack-based, right? You have an attack-based healer that having things like healing effect, attack, and attack percentage are going to be extremely noticeable for you. If you would rather go the opposite route with it, right? Where you're like, I get that he's an attack-based healer, but from what you just said, healing effect really was very, very valuable and provided roughly the same numbers in the end, right? When we're talking about Lily in my best attack-based healing outfit, which has an 88 healing multiplier, versus my 228 healing multiplier, roughly turned out the same. And actually, this turned out slightly better. So, if anything, you know, focusing on this huge healing effect, and then any residual attack I get, I will heal for more. I can agree with you that, not argue with you, I can agree with you that yes, you will tend to kind of notice that that is the best effect. Do I think this is worth re-gearing all your champions? Not necessarily. Maybe if you're doing some Void Rift content and if your healer keeps dying or if your healer is being one-shot. But once again, I have noticed none of my healers really get one-shot besides Gear Raid 2. Gear Raid 2 is the only place I'm ever super worried about my healers dying. Yes, there's always the occasional boss battle that comes up, or you know, depending on your placement, things like Clan Wars. But I can't fully justify like a complete total gear swap. Going forward, I will try it though. I will try to do it like probably with Sadie, where I'll try to do an HP based healing set where it's all HP focused, and then also a healing effect that has HP bonuses on it as extra gear. And we'll have to kind of see what I think is best at that point. But obviously Sadie needs to be re-geared in general. It's also, there's no gear event going on right now for me to want to upgrade 15 pieces of healing effect gear and to like fully test this out when the results were so close. It kind of seems like there is a legit 2 strategy here that you can either go super ham on healing effect or the opposite. One thing of note that I want to add to the end of this video here, and then we're going to close out. Something that was a little confusing to me is when I'm testing on this account, we're kind of further on in the game, right? So when we look at my gear stats, even when Lily has nothing, 0 gear on, so she's at 571 base attack, she is still gaining things like 200 HP, 50 attack. Now, if anybody's wondering, where do these numbers come from? They come from my Pantheon. Now, the reason I mentioned that this is something kind of strange, so here we can see that my HP bonus is about 19% in here. I should have an extra healing effect of 7.5, and I should have an extra attack speed of plus 17. I kind of always assumed, right, that when I'm clicking on Lily and I'm looking at her stats here, this collection progress is your Pantheon, because that is roughly about 20%, is about 200 HP, or yeah, it'd be 20%. It's about 1/5, right? It's a little bit less than 1/5. But what's weird, my attack interval down here, there's no attack speed listed. There's no healing effect listed. There's no rage regen % listed, and that's all in your Pantheon. So, to be perfectly honest, I actually don't know where this collection progress number is coming from. I don't know how that affects things, because like here it's 250. That is clearly not like 20% of that. So I don't know what to think or how to feel about this. And then I'm also confused that I'm not sure where certain things like the attack speed is coming from, or if your Pantheon stats are just tacked on at the very end, like right as you go into combat, all of a sudden the Pantheon stats affect your character as like a final little boost. I 100% don't know. I will probably go raid a different streamer at some point that has more back-end information than I do and ask them what they think about that. But yeah, ultimately that's where we're at. Yeah, there's healing effect 16 out of 19, and then I think I have 3 more on here. Yeah, so like it's clearly not listed in these additions. I'm not sure where that number comes from, but that also could be changing how some of these numbers work. And this was a fun little experiment. I definitely got very different results than what I had anticipated. What I was thinking about. Sorry, my dog's being real cute in the background. I got very different results than what I was anticipating from healing effect. And I guess I'll just have to be doing further testing with this new information. Now there's kind of a reason for me to hold on to a lot of healing effect stuff. And I've had a lot of players tell me that they don't keep any healing effect things. So this will be interesting to see how opinions change with this information. Again, I need to find kind of a better way to test this, but this is kind of my initial thoughts and initial understanding of healing effect. And more or less we have proved healing effect seems just as valuable as increasing your attack stat, your target's HP stat, and your healing effect multiplier. All 3 as a combination. Healing effect, just hard focusing on healing effect, gives us a very similar result. So ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for the video today. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button down below. If you want to join us over at twitch.tv/sprinklebeard, stream every day, Sunday through Wednesday, pretty reliably. Once overtime starts coming back up, though, I will probably be taking overtime and streaming a lot less. So get in here before Christmas. Thank you very much for watching. But of course, until that next time, ta-ta.